Welcome everybody, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the weekly newsletter recaps. Today we're taking a look at some of the newsletters in the HScale community for the first week of November 2024. As always, before we get into it, do me a favor and drop me a subscribe if you're new or if you find yourself coming back anyways. It's completely free and honestly helps to one day allow me to make $1 or $2 off this channel. So thank you in advance, do me a favor and like the video if you enjoy as well, and let's go ahead and get right into it here. We're going to start off today with the Rapido newsletter, volume 194. So lots going on today, so I'll try to move fairly quickly, but still cover all the important details. First up here from Rapido, we do have the Christmas mystery boxes making a return. I did get one last Christmas. I got a pair of E8s and a couple other cool pieces of rolling stock. So I still need to do a review on that. I'd like to actually go through the number board replacement because it was some Union Pacific models. So I have the clear number boards from Rapido that I'll go ahead and switch out. I'll try to film that process as well. So it's very cool to see that these are back as well. They've got red packaging on their chocolate instead of blue this time. So here's a little bit of the details here. They do have the toques, I believe they're called, or the beanies, just the Canadian version of that. Of course, Lily the dog says you got to order now. An update on the E-units that are coming out, the second run here. For Rock Island, they did change 2 of the road numbers there to be more accurate to the prototypes. These look pretty cool. I don't think I'll be picking one up from this second run. There is a little bit more about them later on in this newsletter here, but these look great as well. As part of their 20th anniversary celebration, they were at the Halton County Radio Railway Museum up on November 12th, so coming up here. So if you wanted a chance to meet some of the Rapido team, they'll be over there. Met a couple of them down in Dallas and got one of my locomotives actually signed, or the box signed. They're all great guys. They have a great time and they're having fun here. It's a little blurb on trains.com from Jason. And quick update here on the order deadline. So the only HO one is the GP40 and slugs. I have talked about these for a couple weeks here, and I do think I'm going to be picking up 2 of them. So I'm going to get my pre-order in pretty much just after this video goes live. But here's some of the early samples that they have here. So this is the MKT version, which comes with a slug. So the MKT and Union Pacific have an option to have a mother slug set. So these look great. Lots of additional separately applied metal pieces. Of course, the railings are also metal, just like their GP38s, which I did an awesome review on. Love that model. I did just get word that my Burlington Northern version is on its way back to me. Had to send it in for repair, so I'm very excited for that as well. But this GP40 looks just the same level of detail that those GP38s had, maybe even better. So these look fantastic. And this picture here on the screen is the non-dynamic brake version on the Illinois Central GP40s. That's the one I think I'm going to be picking up. I think I want an Illinois Central and then a CN version X Illinois Central. The paint schemes are just down here in a little bit that we'll get to, but here's some good looks at those details. Rapido is doing a really good job of showing all the different variations here. And now we get down to the paint schemes. So Kansas City Southern was a late addition, so those 4 options there. And then of course they are offering the fast 40s, so 4016 and 4017 were fitted for passenger service and geared as such. So those are an option for you. And these 2 in the middle, that Illinois Central Operation Lifesaver and Canadian National Illinois Central marking there are the 2 that I think I'm going to pick up. I was considering the RFMP here in the blue and lighter blue or gray. But I think I like the pairing of the Illinois Central and X Canadian National version there. The Wisconsin Central, I was also on the fence of getting, but I think I'll pick that up later if I like these. So I'm very excited to see these moving along as well. So order deadline on these is November 15th. So if you're thinking about that, that is coming up soon. But enough with the GP40 talk. I Hope I'm not boring you. Moving on to the N-scale RDCs. I got some production samples here. That November 15th order deadline is coming up as well. Again, N-scale, so I won't spend too much time on it, but these look great again. Another great Rapido release. Additionally, the N-scale F59PHs as well. So these are a conditional order deadline of November 15th. So they did include a quick list here of those paint schemes. They look fantastic. I do have one in the Trinity Railway Express, the TRE scheme, that I'll have to do a review on at some point with those passenger cars. But these look great. There it is at the bottom there. I have number 122 in HO scale, of course. And of course, it is coming there with the N-scale bi-level commuter cars. So I do have the Trinity Railway Express set of 3 of those as well, with the star there. So those schemes look great again. Just moving along a little bit here. A couple order deadlines for December, starting off with the FT locomotive. I never really like these. I don't really like the roof of the model too much. And I think the porthole arrangement's kind of funky. But I still think these are great models. A lot of those details there. Looks great. That first point, the close coupling system, so you can see in the picture right there, it's very, very tight, which looks great. You can still run it on smaller radius curves and not have a crash between the A and B unit. But on longer or larger radius curves, it'll still look good. Here's a look at those paint schemes. The war bonnet scheme up top, looking fantastic. I like the Milwaukee Road scheme as well. But there's a quick look for you. And then next up, the second release of the E units. So a little bit different versions here. That order deadline December 16th. We already went over the Rock Island number changes there. Here's a quick look at the Southern Pacific version. Love the bloody nose scheme. And here's a look at the feature list. Again, Rapido, tons of detail here. But of course, let's go ahead and take a look at the paint schemes. Very good variety offered here. Everything's different from their first run of the E8s. And of course, they do have the AB set for Santa Fe here, the E8M, or modified there. Moving on, next release, the Rio Grande steel riveted caboose. I think I'll pick up one of these. Talked about it before when it was first announced. They have the same early samples here. Nice details added. I do want one with these marker lights and end of train lights there with the modernized version. But I don't know if we scroll down just a little bit. It's a quick look at those features there. So full interior lighting, metal couplers, the works, sort of similar to the tangent caboose that I just reviewed recently. But looking at the schemes here, got a couple early ones that I don't think I'm too interested in. The black does look good, but I'm definitely more of the yellow paint schemes here. The one at the bottom there has blanked out windows, so it's more of a shoving platform. So I wish that the one right above it with the windows in the Action Road scheme had that end of train device. So maybe that's something I can buy and add myself. So I'm still on the fence here, but again, December 16th order deadline. There's still a little bit of time to think about it. Then moving on, quick update on their October launches. So those coil cars, as well as the 44 tonners and P32s I talked about last week. So I won't spend too much time on here. Of course, the HEP E8, I do have the E9 of the Burlington Northern BN3 executive scheme. Still my favorite locomotive I own. It is incredible. I'm so happy with it. I wish I could buy a second one, but it wouldn't really be prototypically accurate because there was never a BN4 painted in that scheme. Do have an unboxing of the new run of the HO scale by levels, and they will be over at TrainFest on November 23rd and 24th. as well as live on the 26th. And now more fun stuff, the arrival updates. Two I'm still looking at here, the gallery cars and the F40 PHM-2s. So I have the Metro set, got 3 sets of each, 3 cars and then 3 locomotives. Super hyped. I really can't wait for them. So expect to see a video the day I get them. And then moving on to the factory updates, we got turbo trains here. These look fantastic. Not really my interest, but they're very well done. Here's some look at that new run of bi-levels, as well as the shoreliner there. And we've got the H1644s in production as well, and the Norfolk Southern Camp cars, which is a cool release. And then they are releasing some DODX flat cars, so they do have some tank and gun loads coming with that as well. And then they have a quick update from the VIA Historical Association, which Rapido is a big partner of. So I'll just pause it here just for a second if you wanted to pause and look over this. They are preserving an FP9A, gorgeous paint job here in the VIA rail colors. It's the second one restored to its original colors there. There's the team in front. It looks absolutely gorgeous. And then you can pick up some VIA Railway swag from them as well. And that wraps up here the Rapido newsletter. We're going to go ahead and move on to the ScaleTrains newsletter next. All right, welcome to the ScaleTrains newsletter here. We talked about this one last week as well, the Fox Valley Models release of the R42 wood reefers. So ScaleTrains, of course, bought Fox Valley Models and now release those lines under the same branding, but as ScaleTrains. So here's just a look at those paint schemes. They were all in the picture there above as well. That's just an update on those new arrivals there. Of course, the new Tier 4 GEVOs are now in stock and pretty limited. So I do have 3 heading my way. They're the last 3 that I've talked about before in the Canadian National Heritage Schemes. They're not listed on here, and they seem to sell out on the website. And from Lombard Hobbies, I had the only ones in stock there. So very limited on those as well if you wanted to snag them. But as far as the other Tier 4 paint schemes go, they are limited in most of the schemes there, as you can see. So if you're looking to pick one up from either ScaleTrains or your hobby shop, most will sell them at the same price. I know Lombard, the selling price is the same as the ScaleTrains discount price. So either way should work for you, but keep an eye on that. They do have the N-scale versions in stock as well, even more limited. And then of course they do have the hypotypical schemes here. The one, if I was going to pick one up, I'd pick up the Canadian Pacific Tier 4 GEVO. So Canadian Pacific doesn't own any of them. They only have Tier 3, the ES44s. So no ET44s, but I think that Beaver scheme looks fantastic, even on the Tier 4. And of course the Ferromex scheme is fully reserved. Those models usually go insanely fast, as not many manufacturers will make the Ferromex scheme. So that's pretty typical to see them sell out quick. And next down here, we've got the SD45s. This is a model that I wasn't planning to pick up, but after looking at the paint schemes for a little while, I think I might either pick up a Chicago Northwestern or a Clinchfield model. I hadn't really seen too much Clinchfield locomotives, and I just thought the paint scheme is pretty cool. It doesn't show here. I can show it at the end. I'll go over everything I'm looking at. But this is the list of the paint schemes. Lots of them are reserved. I really liked the Rio Grande scheme, but I have the tunnel motors coming, and I think I just wanted to stick with those 2 for now and pick something different. So either the Chicago Northwestern or Clinchfield, and maybe even Burlington Northern. still up in the air. I do want to wait until those Rapido models come in, the Metro sets, because that'll be a big hit. So anything that's left will probably go towards one of these SD45s. The first release did look pretty good, so I'm expecting the second one to be just the same. But then the billing update, exactly the same as the last week or so. Those Tier 4s, the SD45s, and the wood reefers that we've already talked about. And something new is another run of the 82-foot mechanical reefers. So these are the 7883 cubic foot models. So the very first run of them with the roofline icicles. As you can see, there's a lot of different paint schemes here, and they're offering a lot of patched or distressed versions. I'm honestly not a huge fan of how the artwork looks, so I'm hoping that the models themselves come out a little better. You can see there is that very first one, which is just the normal roofline icicles BNSF version without any distressed markings on it. So maybe I'll pick up more, but I've got 4 of those and then 6 of the second release. So I'm pretty happy with what I've got right now. So I might just pick up one to review after they come out. But that order or pre-order deadline, sorry, is on the 25th. And of course, with the new CSX schemes coming out, their heritage units, of course, ScaleTrains had to do those as well. So more ES44s coming out. So a lot of CSX versions, and then, which just passed there, a City Rail patched for CN and that Ferromex scheme as well. So here's a quick look at all those road names there. I think the patch City Rail version is really cool. I haven't seen any other manufacturer do that yet. So that's been happening a lot because Canadian National leased a lot of ES44s from City Rail and then started just buying them up either as their leases ended or as they really needed that power. So that's pretty cool that that's being offered as well. And since CSX continues to release more heritage paint schemes, ScaleTrains will follow with another group of them as they do more releases of the ES44s. Another show they'll be at is on this weekend in Raleigh, North Carolina, if you're in that area. And then the same weekend, they will also be down in Mexico. There's a Spanish version there for you as well. And they will also be at Train Fest, just like Rapido, in Milwaukee. But that wraps up ScaleTrains for this week. We're going to go ahead and jump on over to Broadway Limited. All right, welcome to the Broadway Flyer for October. These get published at the end of the month, so that's why we're seeing that here in November. But first up, talking about the new release of the GP35s that are out for pre-order right now. I'm going to jump over to a separate announcement email here more recently with 2 new paint schemes for the Wheeling and Lake Erie. So these are exclusive models through Chase's Train Garage. So if you're interested in those will have to be ordered separately. But moving back over to the main flyer here, these paint schemes look great. I'm still not a huge fan of Broadway Limited sound locomotives. I'm a little hesitant to pick up a Paragon decoder, but they do have good features. They do seem to have good details as well. So if someone wants to be the guinea pig for me and pick one up and let me know, I'll definitely be on board after that. But they do have a good list here of the detail options available, and that order deadline is coming up on December 19th. And then again, we've talked about this before as well, the new release of the Excursion version from 2024 for the Big Boy 4014. So there's another update there if you missed it about their specific details with the PTC antenna arrangement and dynamos there. And here's some model shots. And again, we talked about this last week. The Conductors Club has an exclusive locomotive being the ES44AC for HO and N scale. So they've got both CPKC liveries and then the breast cancer awareness unit from Union Pacific. So these are locomotives that ScaleTrains is doing except for the breast cancer unit. So you could either become a member, pay Broadway Limited the Conductors Club fee to be able to buy these, or you could just buy them from ScaleTrains. And right now, if I wanted to pick up those locomotives, I'd probably go with ScaleTrains. But totally up to you. Here's a look at those schemes here as well. They do look well done. The renders look pretty good. So I'm sure they'll be good. I just don't think I'll be picking them up from Broadway Limited. I know ScaleTrains are pretty reliable. I've been having good luck with them with their ES44s. So I think I'll probably be waiting for those releases to pick them up. But they do tease 3 new HO scale projects coming up soon that they, of course, can't announce yet. So they should be announcing those at or after the Train Fest on the 23rd and 24th. It's a little update there on some N scale projects they're working on as well. And they've got a little in the news section here about some videos people have made. So Jimmy over at DIY and Digital picked up 2 N scale AC6000s, or an AC6000 and an ES44. We have one on the brass hybrid and the die-cast SD70 ACE. Then, of course, the Kennefic business car from James. I do have one of these on order in the Big Boy Tour drumhead scheme, so I'm super excited to see these. These have touch controls instead of the wands that most other manufacturers use. And they do have a ton of features, so I'm super excited to see those come out. Then a video there from the Colorado Model Railroad Museum as well. There's James's actual video on those passenger cars, the Kennefic cars. It's a quick update on the order deadlines coming up here. Nothing that I have on order here, but just a heads up for you. And then they do have some very nice looking samples of the GP30s. So I'll show you these here. And then an announcement I'm very interested in, being an IRM fan. The CB&Q EMD E5 here, so the Silver Pilot is shown. And I think that's a model that I'll probably have to pick up. If it looks like from the production samples look good, I think that's a model I'll be picking up. Even though I'm hesitant about Broadway Limited, this is a model that I don't see any other manufacturer planning to make for a while. So I'm super excited to see this come out. But of course, if I get the streamlined locomotive, as you can see, I'll definitely need the full passenger set to go with it. So Broadway Limited better be working on that after these locomotives. And then they've got some renders of the Chicago Northwestern Pacifics here. These look pretty cool. Tons of separately applied details here. Broadway Limited does do well with steam locomotives. And then some N-scale teases here. So that the shark noses that they've done in HO, that's how Broadway Limited operates. They'll release a model in HO and then see how it does and then move it to N-scale. Same with the Kennefic business car there. Little update on the delivery schedule. I'll just go ahead and try to show all of it here. So that Kennefic business car should be coming in December 2024. So I'm excited for that, the Kennefic. And then they end off here with some Q&A. I won't go through too much of this. I'll just go ahead and scroll a little bit so you can pause and take a look. I do see the interesting question here about releasing the entire UP passenger fleet. So they do note that the fleet has been done many, many times, just like mostly the Walthers proto models, and people have asked if the paint will match, and they've said it will. So you can run the Kennefic business car with the proto fleet. So it should match up pretty well, just as it ran on the tour. Just looking here through the rest of the questions. Some pretty good ones, some models that they say are in the pipeline, some that they can't quite make yet. But that wraps up the Broadway Limited flyer here. We're going to go ahead and move on over to Athearn. All right, welcome on over to the Athearn Dispatcher. Not a ton going on here today. Starting off with the SD70 ACEs. I did pick up two in the Montana Rail Link paint scheme. Loving them so far. Did a review on those as well if you're interested, but I'm a big fan of them. Love that they are the Genesis 2.0 models, so they do have number board lights as well as truck lights and things. They are a little bit dim, but they're still lighted, which is really nice to see. And then another model in stock, also in the Genesis line, the U50s. So I'll pause here and just let the paint scheme cycle through. They're moving a little quick here. But they do have updated features from the original release of the U50s, so such as they say here the truck lights, class lights, number boards, and they do have 4 speakers, which I think you can probably see through the grates just behind the cab and at the rear of the model. I'm pretty sure those are the speakers there that you can see. But those look pretty cool. The paint schemes look sharp. Couple of their legendary liveries in there as well. And then next up, the AC4400 CWs. So cool paint scheme that they're offering. New is the Quebec Cartier Railway or Cartier Railway. Not exactly sure on that, so definitely correct me. But that scheme looks really cool. I didn't know that that existed, honestly, beforehand. So there's all those schemes going by. They look great. Athearn does a pretty good job with their AC4400s. I don't own any yet, but I will eventually pick one up. Probably going to pick up one of those and a ScaleTrains to compare because I know that that is a big rivalry in the industry. And then a little smaller stuff here. They are releasing a Christmas tree ornament. Their F7 in their Athearn paint scheme here is only 20 bucks, so that's a cool little thing if you wanted to pick one up. And then Athearn, of course, will also be at TrainFest the 23rd and 24th in Milwaukee. So that's all for Athearn. Got a quick update from Atlas here next. All right, one quick update from Atlas that is now arriving, the 50-foot Berwick box cars here. So I'll just show you the features there real quick. And they should be in here the week of November 22nd. Here's just a quick look at those paint schemes here, if you had any on order. I personally did not, but just an update for you. I do like the main central paint scheme on boxcars. I might eventually pick one up, or pick up a couple to make a little unit train. But that's all we do have from Atlas today. This does wrap up our newsletters for the week. I am going to take a couple minutes here at the end and just sort of go through a couple of the models that I'm super excited for or might be picking up here, just to talk about them because I really enjoy it. All right, so I wanted to start off here with talking about a new model that just came in stock that I do have to act a little bit quickly on. That's the ScaleTrains SD45s. So up here is the Chicago Northwestern version. Interestingly enough, it's the only version that was ever ordered without dynamic brakes. So you'll see that missing from sort of the middle, right above the 950 in the center there. So here's just a couple pictures of it. I do think it's a great paint scheme. It's got a lot of unique features like that winterization hatch. No dynamic brakes, of course. It does have a beacon and a nose-mounted bell. So that's some really cool features that this model has. It's got class lights and headlights high mounted there as well. Another paint scheme I might buy, this is probably the third on my list, is a Burlington Northern SD45. These look pretty cool. Not a whole lot of pictures here. It's got a beacon as well, class lights, sort of a standard SD45. There's just a little bit of an idea there with the Burlington Northern. And a paint scheme that I didn't really expect to like, but now that it's been floating around a little bit, I think I might pick up one of these Clinchfield models. They are sold out from ScaleTrains, but I'm going to find a hobby shop for them. I just think it's a really cool paint scheme that I wasn't really planning on picking up, but I might grab it just to have something different on the roster. So these look cool. They do have a gyro light up top in between the number boards, sort of like the Rio Grande models do. So they do have a couple road numbers here offered. They do have a Seaboard Coastlines or Seaboard System patch that still has the Clinchfield markings, just with a patch number. So that could be an option too if these sell out and I'm not able to pick it up. That's just a really cool model that I'm glad to see offered. And then one more ScaleTrains release that is still in the pre-order phase, that'll be arriving at the end of November here, are the GP40s. And I think I'm pretty much decided that I'm going to pick up one of these Milwaukee Road models. So these look really cool. I did wish they had the full billboard lettering on the side, but they're a little bit before that era. So these pictures do look really cool. I don't really like the Hiawatha scheme with the Hiawatha logo on the nose, but I wish it did say sort of the Milwaukee Road here on the side in black on the orange. But again, that's not prototypically accurate for this locomotive, so ScaleTrains didn't do it because they're super concerned about the prototypical accuracy, so that's cool if you're really into that. So I hope that one day they do a release a little bit later on. It does have the winterized window here cover. So that's a cool feature to have as well. So I was considering a Rio Grande or Chicago Northwestern, but I think I'm set on a Milwaukee Road version. But I'll let you know, or you'll see when that video comes out as it comes in, what I've decided to go with. And then rounding us off, just wanted to circle back again to Rapido and their GP40s. They are doing different schemes than ScaleTrains, which is really cool. So I'm not sure if they did communicate with that. From what it seemed when I talked to the team when I met them, is that they did have some communication with the manufacturers. So they did do so, that's really cool. If it's just an accident, that's cool as well. But just looking here, this Illinois Central paint scheme looks fantastic. I do like the cool hatches they do have where the dynamic brakes used to be. I love the Death Star scheme. I think I said it before, I do eventually want two SD70s in that paint scheme. But I haven't picked them up from Athearn yet. That's who I'd buy them from because their last run had sort of truck issues, and then they did a legendary liveries with sort of the more modern Illinois Central logo, and I was really looking for the Death Star, which I just think looks so good. But this Canadian National version looks very good as well. Of course, it's got the Illinois Central reporting marks here under the number. But those are the pair that I'll probably pick up. Kind of how I did with their GP38s. I bought a BNSF and a BN version that I could sort of pair up, and it won't feel too out of place because they're a little similar as if it's in the transition period. So I could do the same thing with these. Although the Illinois Central does have the white sill and the CN does have yellow, so it'll be a little odd, but I'm sure I can make it work, and I'm going to be happy either way because if they're anything like those GP38s I've picked up, they are phenomenal. They sound amazing. They've got the cool Easter eggs, of course. Paint scheme looks great. Details are phenomenal. So I'm really hoping they nail this release as well. I'm going to let the ScaleTrains Trinity reefer slideshow sort of play out in the background here while I finish up. Still not sure about those. I don't think the distressed versions look too great, at least in these renders, so I think I'm going to wait and see how they look in person first before picking them up. But that's really all I'm considering recently. Really appreciate you sticking around to the end here. Do me a favor, if you did make it all the way through, subscribe. I really appreciate it. Like the video if you enjoy, and drop me a comment if there's anything here you're interested in, or anything I missed as well. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.